idea. And let's stay in New York for the third one. Who should the Giants trade for?
DJ Moore. Right now, the New York Football Giants' leading receiver is Richie James, who has 191 yards. That is really remarkable. DJ Moore is young. He has a good catch radius. He would come in immediately, guys, and be their number one receiver, which is really saying a lot about the position. So Carolina's in a rebuild. They gave up Robbie Anderson, Christian McCaffrey. DJ Moore is available, and he would give them immediate upgrade in a position they're desperate for.
I love it. Now, that's your former team, the Giants, so let's talk about them for a minute. There is no team in the NFL that is getting less from their wide receivers, to the point that he just made. They don't have a receiver on their team with 200 yards in reception yardage this season.
Yeah, that's not good.
No team is getting so. My question is, and maybe they make a deal here because maybe they have surprised everyone, including their own new front office. And are they? That's the question on the screen. Are they a legitimate threat this year? I think their own fans want to know the answer to that question. Are they a legitimate contender to do something meaningful in a playoff scenario this year, Chris Canty?
I think they can win a playoff game, but can they go on a championship run? No, I don't see that. There are a couple of deficiencies on this team that I don't think they're going to be able to overcome. When you look at this Giants team, they don't have any explosive playmakers on the opposite side of the ball outside of Saquon Barkley. So that will be an area of concern. David Sills, the fifth, is probably their most reliable receiver, especially after you watch what happened in Jacksonville this past weekend with guys dropping balls. I said after that game that they could use David Sills the first, second, third, and fourth. They could use those because right now they don't have enough explosive playmakers. Now, I like what Brian Daboll is doing in terms of calling a game that Daniel Jones can manage, putting guardrails on his quarterback so he doesn't make those consequential mistakes. But at some point, you need your quarterback to be a difference maker, and I just don't see that from Daniel Jones' play as of yet.
Let me see from Kmart. What do you think?
About the Daniel Jones of it all?
About the Giants of it all.
The Giants in that locker room, they don't care that people are underselling them. They know they are behind Brian Daboll. He has them like a feisty team. Like, they actually believe, like, no, when we're playing the Ravens, we think we can beat them. Like, they're not thinking that they are underdogs in any capacity. I think to Chris's point, they do have deficiencies. I think when you look at this roster, when you look at the offense, it flows through Saquon, and we all know that. It's like, Saquon, get us where we got to go. Daniel, escape out the pocket. And the guardrails that are there, it's for Daniel Jones not to mess up, not to lose them games.
The other thing we have to consider, too, is the Giants lost two starters on that offensive line in that Jacksonville game, including right tackle Evan Neal. So we have to see how that impacts what happens in the short term and long term for this team, especially on offense.
But a lot of this question on the screen, Dominique, in modern pro football comes down to the quarterback and how much one believes in him. How much does this one believe in him?
Not enough to say that they're going to make a deep run into the playoffs. I'm not one who undersells his running ability. That's really important and it's really valuable, but he's going to have to give you something else because in the playoffs it's going to be very different. The pressure's going to be on him. They could win a game depending on the matchup that they get. They get the Seahawks or somebody like that. It's possible, but I don't see against a real competitor, even the teams that aren't playing all that well right now, I think our quarterback bias makes me feel like I would still go with Tom Brady and the Bucs and that defense over this team because they have a higher ceiling. I do think that there's less variance in performance for the Giants, but I think it's such a small area and it's not going to reach the ceiling that it needs to reach.
Well, think about how many times we praised Daniel Jones for the fourth quarter comebacks. It's like they've been trailing in fourth quarters. Like, that's not a recipe for success in the playoffs. And I think when you face good defenses, they're going to know to key in on Saquon.
Right, that's exactly right. The opposing coordinator is going to make them win left-handed, and that means Daniel Jones from the pocket making throws down the field. He hasn't proven he can do that. Whom? Yeah, and exactly. In fairness, to whom? Unless they could get the whole Sills family.
Well, that's why maybe these next 6 days are no more important to any team in the NFL than they are to the Giants. Again, the trade deadline is next Tuesday. If you're 6-1, you have to believe you have a chance. They need to make a move for a playmaker on the outside, don't they?
No question about it. They've got to get more explosive on the outside. Kadarius Toney hasn't worked out. Kenny Golladay hasn't worked out. Those were guys that they had pegged as being those difference makers. The new coaching staff doesn't see it that way. But as far as the Giants are concerned with Daniel Jones, he's shown that he can make plays with his legs, like to Dominique's point, but they're going to have that. They got to have that element in the vertical pass.
Toward this weekend.
Oh, my gosh.
What was that? What's oh, my gosh?
Okay, you know me, resident psych expert of the table.
Yeah.
The whole body language is killing me. It's killing me. And I so want to call this the Bucs will be the greatest comeback story of all time. I want to, but Tom, he is not playing the part. Like, he just looks dejected. That pause. Will you guys turn this around? It's like, no, Tom, you know what? Give me Rodgers and all that craziness and that like attitude, because at least he's defiant. At least he's like, we'll get better. I don't know what that was.
I'm always very hesitant to disagree with Kimberly Martin because she rolls her eyes at me. But I actually think he was just really aggravated by the question. Like, I think when
are players
you guys
ever
have,
aggravated by reporters?
I feel like that was like the football on Thursday nights has stunk, and you guys have stunk. So is there any reason to think you're going to be better? And I think it was just like, I know what I really want to say to you, pal, but I'm going to have to answer the question. I understand what you're saying, but that's kind of how I interpreted that.
Yeah, I mean, I think the message in the locker room is definitely very different. And we talked about his quotes on his own podcast earlier in the week.
Mm-hmm.
They were a lot more fiery, and they were more about we than the Aaron Rodgers thing. I am willing to defend Aaron Rodgers in the way that he approached all this, in the same way with Tom Brady. But what it comes down to is, what are you going to do on the field? Like, there's no quote that's going to make any of us believe in them. There's no quote that's going to turn this all around. They need to start playing better. And in part, if we're going to be critical of quarterbacks, the one that's worth being criticized is not not Aaron Rodgers, but it's Tom Brady. He's playing well, throwing the ball well on occasion, but he's also hitting the defenders in the chest with the ball every now and then, which is not something that you expect from Tom Brady.
I have the perfect solution for his mood, for his play. Rob Gronkowski. And my approach would be the same way I approach Michelle asking to marry me. I'm not taking no for an answer. Whatever the concern is, the answer is yes. You want to play third down? Yes. You want to block? Cut on the backside. You want more money? The answer is yes. That is your job description. 15 plays a game. Because his presence alone will make those slow old receivers on the outside even better. And the other thing I would do is maybe consider trading for a receiver. But what will pep up Tom Brady more than his old buddy Rob Gronkowski? What will make him a better quarterback? Rob Gronkowski, I would go see him as the GM, Jason Light, and say, Rob, this is really easy. You are coming. You're going to come willingly. You're going to come involuntarily. But you are coming. That is your job description is going to be filled out by you, but you're a Buccaneer. Congratulations.
I like that.
I'm actually with him. I think they do need to address the tight end position because we've seen Tom Brady thrive when he has that guy that can be in the middle of the defense and be a mismatch for linebackers and safeties. But I don't think that's Rob Gronkowski. I think the guy is Mike Gesicki at the Miami Dolphins. He's a player that they tried to trade for. They tried to trade in the offseason, Miami, I'm meaning, and this is a player that's fallen out of favor with Mike McDaniel because he's not a great inline blocker. It could be a fit for the Tampa Bay Bucs. But everybody that's ready to bury the Bucs right now, just pump the brakes. They play in the NFC South. Yeah. It's Tom Brady and 3 backup level quarterbacks. They can figure this out. They'll have pieces. Ryan Jensen eventually will come back, which can help the interior of that offensive line having a Pro Bowl center. It's ugly right now. They just lost to the Carolina Panthers, which means they can lose to anybody in football.
Right.
But the division is going to give them enough runway to be able to get their season turned around.
So we just had a fascinating discussion about how much of the blame for what's going on in Green Bay lies at the feet of Rodgers himself. Kimberly, how much of the blame here should go to Brady?
This will shock everybody, but I actually disagree with Dominique. Because to blame Brady, like, here's what we know. We know that you get pressure up the middle against Brady, it's over.
Yep.
Where are they giving up the pressure? Up the middle. The man is 45 years old and finally looks like he's 45 years old because he is literally, by the time he gets the ball, people are on him. No, the blocking hasn't been good. They can't run the ball. Right. They can't stop the run. The defense, we love Todd Bowles. Lord knows we do. However,
that part right there.
However, when he is talking about this is a really dark day right now, like that stuff I heard when he was with the Jets. Like, they have the personnel. That's why I think they'll be fine. But right now, it can't just be all on Brady, especially with that defense.
No, I think so. You go back 2 weeks, Tom Brady was incredible in that game that they lost. And I think that he plays good enough for them to win. But where's all the energy that we have for every other quarterback where we tell them, make everyone around you better? That's what Tom Brady does. We're doing.
Tom Brady has been carrying people for 200 years.
He's never he's not a.
And now.
What has been carrying people?
One thing to Nick's point, Tom Brady would say himself, well done is better than well said. And right now, he's not doing it on the field. And the other thing where he could lose the locker room guys is not there on Wednesdays, goes to Robert Kraft's wedding, misses time in training camp. It's hard to hold your teammates accountable when you're not there all the time, which he's obviously used to lead by example.
That's why it wasn't my issue with Tom's comments. I agree. The reporter's question, I'll give you that. But it's the other stuff. It's on his podcast, I've been all in. Nah, bro, you haven't. Like that's just a lie. That's just a lie. And I feel like that, to your point, Mike,